Thank you for joining us. You are watching a career success video from Computer Coach. Computer Coach is a Tampa-based computer training center specializing in helping IT and business professionals add on the skills they need to reach their desired career goals. If you are job searching, in transition, or are looking for guidance, please feel free to reach out to us at www.computercoach.com. Now, let's get started.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this Friday for a wonderful, wonderful presentation that we have for you with our guest speaker, Jose. As you're all joining, or if you've already joined, please make sure that you're adding your LinkedIn into the chat so we can make sure we're connecting and optimizing our time together. I am Danielle Ori. I am the Director of Career Services with Computer Coach. We are a tech training school in Tampa Bay, Florida. I did see that we have someone joining us from Nevada, from Las Vegas, Nevada, which is pretty cool, or really cool, actually. But yeah, make sure that you share with us where you're joining from. I also have with me today Cassandra Perez, who's our Senior Career Strategist. She is fantastic and wonderful and spends a lot of time doing our career strategy sessions with our Computer Coach customers or potential customers. So, if you're interested in upskilling, continuing education, earning a certification like someone on our attendee list today who just earned their PMP, congratulations, then please don't hesitate to reach out to us or reach out to Cassandra directly. We will put
or just if you need help in your job search, right? So we do completely free career strategy sessions. So if you need help in your job search, you do not have to be a customer of ours to take advantage of those. If you are in the Tampa Bay area, there are training grants available, as Danielle mentioned. So all of the local counties here in Tampa Bay, all of the 7 counties locally, we work with, and there are training grants available. So whether you're unemployed, underemployed, maybe you've been affected by one of the layoffs recently, those grants are available to help you upskill, and they are completely free if you qualify. So I'm happy to get information about that. But we also do these free strategy sessions, and you do not have to be our customer. So if you just need support in your job search, even if you're not local, we can help you out with that.
Yeah, and every Tuesday at 10, we have our career strategy workshops that are free and open to the public. So please make sure that you're joining those as well so you can learn how to optimize your job search. So with all of that, one more housekeeping item before I turn it over to Jose. Please, if you can find it, it's under more. There's a Q&A widget. If you can add your questions, which we will cover at the end, into the Q&A. But if you're on mobile, no problem. You can still use the chat. We will sift through that at the end as well. So without further ado, I'm super excited to welcome Jose. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good morning, everybody. Jose Gutierrez, and actually, I'm also a former client of Computer Coach. I got my PMP certification with Computer Coach. Actually did some of the Network Plus, cybersecurity, and some other classes. I didn't take the certification, but I actually have taken some of the classes, so I highly recommend it. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. Good morning, everybody. So as Danielle mentioned, my name is Jose Gutierrez. I'm a PMP, and also held an MBA. I'm a project manager right now with USC Consulting Group. We are a operations management performance improvement consulting firm based here in Tampa. So I do have some background as well, in multiple background, more diverse background, which I'll go into that. So my background initially started in the food service and hospitality industry, working many roles within that industry. And that's what I got my foot in the door into project management. And it was kind of a funny story, looking for a job for connections, people that I knew that referred me to somebody, the owner of the company. And he said, well, I got 2 roles. So I got a sales role and I got a project management role. I never done project management, and I never want to be living out of commission. So I said, okay, let's try the project management. And that's how I started in project management in the food service, design, construction, facilities role, and in that back in almost 20 years ago. After that, I did some healthcare operations, got involved with project management, of course, as well within the healthcare industry. I started learning also some about process improvement, Lean Six Sigma. Then I moved out to multiple roles within other industries and ended up in IT consulting, where we kind of, the company I was working for is a Microsoft partner. So everything was related to Microsoft, from Power BI to Power Automate, Dynamics, all that good stuff from Microsoft. And then my latest venture, I had mentioned before, we're now in the process improvement arena. But also, we kind of get involved with some of the IT aspects of implementation within our clients. And one thing that you're going to see throughout my presentation is I'm a hardcore Star Wars fan. So you're going to see a lot of Star Wars going on here today. This is some pictures of my recent travel. I took vacation and went to Disneyland Paris in Europe. These are some of the pictures of the attraction over there. So let's start real quick, and our agenda will be very simple. We're going to talk briefly about the basics of project management, being a project manager, kind of define what project execution and management strategies they are there. And then before we actually go into successful strategies and tools, let's find out why a project failed. And then review some of the top skills that are needed for today's project manager, and then review some of those tools and strategies that I'm going to present. So basically, project management, we all know what it is. We gotta complete a project, within the scope, on time, within budget. But project management and project managers play different roles, right? Some may say, hey, a person who manages problem you can't, or one who does precision guesswork based on reliable data provided by those questionable knowledge. In other words, you're a magician or a wizard, right? Sometimes you don't know what they give it to you to manage. All you do is kind of sleep, eat, manage projects, and repeat again. All right. I mean, one of the funnest definitions that I found is this one. Organizational leader dedicated to the imposition of order upon chaos. Even a cow is perfectly happy with the status quo. Or professional header or wet cats. Another definition that I had from my son, my 16-year-old son, when I explain what I do is say, okay, so you're a babysitter of adults. So that's pretty much how sometimes it goes. So let's continue with what is project execution and project management strategies. So I'm sure we've all been there. We're working on the project, but is the project getting done? And the project managers working in the project or on the project? So execution, the definition is getting things done. But they're getting things done on the right way. And you're getting things done the way that it needs to be. The project management strategies, that collection of methods, techniques used to plan complete project efficiency. You pretty much use strategies to unite your team and address those challenges. Of course, increase productivity and reach those goals that are assigned to you. But like I say, between things are getting done or get stuff done. So they're not the same when things doing something and getting stuff done. So let's take a look at what project fails. And I'm sure you all know many of those. We have something like this. I don't know why this is the way it is, but it's kind of funny when I'm sure you're seeing it in social media going around. But let me show you some stats as far as project failures. According to PwC, 2.5% of companies that were surveyed said that they successfully complete 100% of their projects. So imagine that over thousands of companies and only 2.5% have completed all the projects that are signed here. Harvard Business Review, they surveyed 1,471 IT projects. 20% of those were average of the overrun, and 1 in 6 either had a 200% cost overrun or a 70% schedule overrun. So it's kind of scary when you take a look at this number. Project failure rates right now are between 5 to 15%. That is a cost in the US of between $50 to $150 billion a year. In the European Union, that's estimated to be 142 billion euros. So it's very scary when you put at numbers like that in regards to IT projects in general, or in general projects. No matter what call it a project, but this is just related to the projects. So reasons for failure, you got unclear objectives. Are you more of a Jedi or a Stormtrooper? Those are maybe familiar with Star Wars. You know what I'm talking about. So the Objective is not clear. Is there poor communication, limited resources? What about scope creep? Don't you love when somebody comes in, hey, I'm come to change the scope? You got the wrong technology. Well, methodology. You start with one methodology and then you switch to another one. There's no change control or approval process, lack of accountability, no training. A lot of people get involved with projects and they have no idea what they're getting involved with. As well as a lack of leadership or technical skills. So how many times you have gone through a project and then they want to review and they want to redesign it or something like that. A lot of statistics, so let me show you a few more. So Gartner study, 75% of IT projects in the US are considered failure by those who initiate them. So even before the initiator, they already considered failure. 31% of IT projects were canceled outright, and 53% project challenged just because of the poor performance they have. But this is the interesting part of it, and this is why some of the projects fail, and that's why we cover. The rest of the presentation is going to tailor is most projects focus on the rational component of project management. We're talking about processes, procedures, quality control, scheduling, cost estimated, budgeting, stuff like that. But there's fail to overlook at the emotional components and factors of project management, referring more to the leadership, the communication, the emotional intelligence, and that's kind of that focus that we're going to be looking into that. So where that all comes to as far as, where are the needs or what are the skills that project management need nowadays? You got using the force, we got a PMI, a talent triangle. According to PMI, communication, you got the survey and kind of the percentage of survey project managers said the number of percentage of skills. They said that skill is needed for today project management: communication, problem solving, strategic thinking, and collaborative leadership are the skills necessary for today's project manager. Should you possess a master to ensure those project success? It is estimated that between problem solving and managing relationship, project managers spend 60% of their time. Kind of split even, about 30-30 on the S. At the end, you're accountable for the project. So let's review those skills that we need today: communication, problem solving, strategic thinking, and of course, collaborative leadership. Now, most project managers will be able to speak to tech and non-technical stakeholders. You should be able to serve as interpreter. I mean, have been in startup call or status meeting or kind of a share status with the stakeholders, and the team is saying, no, we're fine, everything's good, we're going into the right direction. But at the same time, there's something going on. So you need to have a good communication plan. That communication plan should include not only what you're going to communicate, how frequently you're going to communicate, and how you're going to communicate. And everybody's going to be different. That's what when you start your project, you do your stakeholder analysis. You want to make sure that you're identifying the needs and wants of those stakeholders, so you make sure you can address them and meet them. Technical and non-technical knowledge. You don't have to be an expert on the technology that the project is involved with to be able to understand it and be able to translate or interpret that to some of the stakeholders. I mean, if you have been in a meeting where one of the stakeholders have no idea what one of the team members in the project is talking about. So you need to be able to translate that into simple plain English and have that stakeholder understand what's going on with the project. Excellent communication, listening skills, as well as reporting skill. You need to be able to report in a concise manner to the stakeholders and to everybody involved. I mean, stakeholders is not only your sponsors, everybody involved, internal or external, in the project. Mentioned earlier, the certification. Certifications are good. That show you that you have the respect for the industry, and you have that knowledge, and you have be able to dedicate. I think we just celebrated Alexander who got her PMP, so congratulations. So that shows to the stakeholders, to everybody involved in the project, that you know your stuff, or you're supposed to know, right? So let's go to continue with problem solving. So in problem solving, you know when something's going wrong, when they send somebody and hey, I'm here to fix the project, put you back on the schedule, right? So as a problem solver, you need to ensure you weigh your pros and cons and be able to formulate the best solution to a project. You need, of course, as a problem solver, you need to achieve possible solutions. But the best way is you need to be data-driven in the decision making. You need to make sure that whatever decision or whatever pros and cons you're evaluating to formulate that best solution, you're using data to make that decision. And we're going to talk about some of those tools and strategies that you can use for data-driven decision making. So strategic thinking, you are the gatekeeper of the project. You must ensure that you're always thinking ahead of the project. You need to be adaptable because you don't know what's going to happen. Somebody may blow your Death Star and you start from scratch. You need to align not only your goals and objectives and the team and the objectives of the goal of the team to match that organization goals and objectives and what the project. You make sure the project provides value. Always keep looking ahead. You want to make sure that you're ahead of the game. You're ahead of what might happen. Some people may call it risk management. You're going to be able to, we'll talk about risk management later on. But you got to make sure that you're always looking ahead of the project, at least a few weeks or a few months, depending on that. You need to make sure constantly evaluate what you're doing, do lessons learned, review, learn from those, and reapply them. Don't wait until the end of the project to apply some of those lessons learned as you go through the project. And selecting the right methodology is critical. Not all are created equal. We have multiple methodologies nowadays. There's a new trend that says, there's not a single one that's perfect. You want to make sure that you use multiple methodologies, a mix of them to accomplish the goal, which is complete the projects. And there are different ways to determine how to choose the right or the best methodology. It could be a mix of them. You need to assess the projects. You need to make sure that decide what brings the most value. Evaluate your organization culture, values, goals, and objectives as well. Assess your resources, what resources you have available, and assess your team. Do they have the right skills and training? You don't want to bring somebody that is skilled on the waterfall methodology and have no clue how Agile works, and vice versa. So again, methodologies, yes, Agile is being kind of the dominant on the IT world, but there have been some trends where there have been some more hybrid approach to project management in the recent months. So as leader, you're all accountable for the project. As a project manager, the responsibility, the accountability of the project is all on your shoulder. The managers are accountable not only for their own actions, for the action taken by the team, but also for the performance of the project itself. You gotta be a servant leadership. Servant leader, make sure that your team have the tools and resources to complete the project. You gotta oversee the coordinate plus, motivate and encourage the team. You gotta have positive thinking, team building skills to be able to move that project and motivate your team. Of course, interpersonal skills and building relationships. You don't wanna show up to a meeting halfway through the project and show the stakeholder, which is the first time they have seen you, that, hey, we have an issue with the project. You will be able to maintain that relationship from the beginning of the project and throughout the projects. And as mentioned before also, you got to leverage that emotional intelligence that's going to help you motivate your team and move forward, but also communicate with your team and your stakeholders. So what tools or strategies we can use? We got the old-fashioned tools, strategies, the dark side, as I call it. You got Gantt charts, you got your RACI, who's responsible, accountable, consulting, or involved. Your SWOT analysis, you got the WBS and WBS dictionaries, the MOS, the Management Operating System. You want to make sure that you have an effective execution of the projects, especially in meetings. You want to make sure those meetings have a requirement, that you have what the description of the meeting is, who's the leader of the meeting, what frequency or duration those meetings are going to be. How many of you have been on a meeting where they're actually discussing what they're going to talk about the following meeting? What phase of the project is that meeting involved? The cross-functional team involved in that meeting. Are you required to be in that meeting? And again, how many of you have been in a meeting that you say, why am I here? There's nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. As well as creating some action items. You want to make sure that after each meeting, you have some action items and everybody is assigned to complete those actions. Risk management. Risk management is one of the processes that it has to be not only done from the beginning, create a register, but it should update frequently, daily, weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, based on the project timeline. You got to determine risk impact of each of those items on the risk register. Are there technical, schedule, or cost impact? What's the probability of that occurring? And what's the resolution strategy for each of those items? Are you going to accept it? Are you going to avoid it, transfer it, mitigate it, or just watch it? So there should always be some kind of financial element associated with that risk register, because you don't want to be surprised if something happened, but you don't have provisions as far as how to cover on your budget or what financial impact that risk will have. For your dashboard, you always want to be current status of the project, be able to communicate that to your stakeholders, including your team, to see where we are on the project and give you an idea, especially if you manage multiple projects. Rolling action item lists. This is kind of for my previous discussion during the meetings, but you want to make sure that you're carrying action lists. All the tasks is an effective method for you to caption all those tasks and be able to be closed. You don't want to go back a few months later and say, hey, did we close that? How do we do that? It's a great tool to ensure that all your tasks are completed and nothing is missing in the project. As well, later on, it could be used as a reference to review what decisions were made previously. So in case something similar happened, you know what to do. Or in case that particular issue comes into play again. Stakeholders, we mentioned earlier, the stakeholders make sure to understand their needs and wants. Just because you completed the project objectives, not necessarily you meet the needs and wants of the stakeholders. You got to have a backup plan for communications, especially one of those key stakeholders. You want to make sure that for some reason, one of the stakeholders is the one that is a decision maker. You want to make sure if you cannot get a hold of them, you have a backup plan for emergency situations. Set up expectations, open communication with the stakeholders. Again, we want to have them on your side in case of need. And maintain a good relationship. Don't be a stranger. Not only show up when you need help. You always want to, keep it honest and keeping on the status of what's going on with the project. So let's go now to the light side of the project, what we call the kind of the new tools. There's a lot going on right now for a while on new technology. RPA, robotic process automation. It's just a software technology that can help you automate business processes, just mimicking human actions, interacting with digital system and software. Project manager can use RPA to automate repeated tasks and free time to focus on what's important and other tasks that have more priority. RPA can help you with productivity work, interaction with applications, web pages modifications, PDF creation and editing, image editing. There's a lot going on that is very popular for improving operational efficiency right now with tactical automation. Just imagine importing large amount of data in Excel for reporting. RPA can help you with that. A sample of RPA is, for example, Microsoft Power Automate is one that I'm very familiar with. Now, what's in everybody's mind now then? Artificial intelligence, machine learning, and generative AI or Gen AI. Gen AI supports the PM through all phases of the project, from planning, time and cost management, risk management, as well as monitoring and controlling. You have the ability to complete data analysis, cost estimate, and to generate image, text, code, in a matter of seconds or minutes, depending on the complexity of the information that you provide. Generative AI could lead to cost savings, better risk management, increased stakeholder satisfaction, greater adaptability, more accuracy on the data-driven decision-making. At the end, happier project managers, right? That's what we want, and be able to execute those projects. Generative AI is very new. I think probably not even a year. I had the opportunity, I think Joe, I really did a presentation for a computer coach last week, how to become an empowered AI worker. I'm sure you'll be able to get the recording for computer coach, but it's very, very illustrative of how AI right now is evolutionizing. And this is something that you need to be on the lookout. And again, being involved in training and learning, because it changes pretty much every day. But there are a few things that you need to consider and challenges when implementing some kind of or using generative AI. You gotta make sure, data quality and availability. How accurate is that data? What kind of model you're using? So the selection of the model and the integration within your system. Ethics. There's a lot going on as far as, is the right data, is ethic to do what it's doing. A lot of people especially are using generative AI to do homework, to do work, and that can be considered plagiarism. So you gotta make sure you're doing the right thing. Security and privacy concerns, especially if you're dealing with sensitive data. You gotta make sure that your AI models are secure and actually provide that privacy for your data. But almost most important is you gotta have that human in the loop approach. You gotta make sure whatever comes out of the generative AI, whatever the output is, you gotta make sure that you have to double check it and put your thumbprint on there. Because you don't wanna copy and paste whatever comes out, because again, that can bite you in the butt later on. And training, training is crucial when you're learning new technology. Well, let's go to the other part of this, team assessment. I don't know how many of you have been explored some of this assessment, but it's very crucial. We talk about emotional intelligence and how that can help you manage your team, be able to motivate them, be able to improve the outcome of the project. There are different assessments that we use, and each one is different. You got a Harrison assessment that's more of a talent management focus on leadership and what's the attitude that person has towards leadership. Myers-Briggs type indicator, I'm sure some of you are familiar with there, have a personality type indicator. The DISC assessment, personality type to reduce conflicts and improve relationship. Clifton strengths assessment. Those are kind of identify what the strength within your team. And the way you use these tools is, at least in our company, what we're doing is we go to some of these assessments. Then if somebody is assigned to a project, sometimes you haven't worked with that person at all, or you haven't worked with that person in years. And it all depends, especially you got challenges where you got working with people that are either outside your company or not involved directly with the company. So you gotta be careful how you apply this. But let's, as a sample, hypothetically, you said everybody in the team, the project is within the same organization. They're all going through some of these assessments. So before a project starts, what you do is you want to put it all together and learn about each other. Learn about how your type is, Myers-Briggs, how your communication style. In that way, you can understand what are the strengths for each of the team members, as well as what are the opportunities that each other can actually balance the weakness of others. So whenever somebody's strength in one area, I'm sure the other person can compensate for some of that. And again, emotional intelligence just give you the ability to perceive, use, understand, and manage your own emotions, but as well as others. Project managers that know how to foster the productive emotions, setting on the team and making for decisions, and build those strong relationships, not only with your team, but as well with your stakeholders. And again, it's not enough just to simply know the importance of emotional intelligence. You need to know how to apply to the day-to-day in project management. So with all that said, make sure that, you either do or do not. There's no try. Make sure you use for the force. And again, may the force be with you. Here's my contact information. And then if you want to go, Neil, I'm happy to go to some questions.
To learn more about our training programs, classes, and what sets us apart, please visit our website at www.computercoach.com.